Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon. Wherever you're coming from, you are back at the Red Hat channel on YouTube and around the web. We're pleased to have you because you're here for another episode of our favorite show, Demo Deep Dive. And if you haven't heard of the show before, this is where we go behind the scenes in some of the really cool technology that powers Red Hat's tech, including Linux and Kubernetes and Ansible. And today's episode is going to be AI, which is really fun because we're going beyond kind of just POCs and kind of conceptual AI. Here's what we want to do with it, to actually how do we operate it, how do we put it into kind of production, and all of the other capabilities needed for kind of a full-scale sovereign AI stack with our wonderful guest who is joining us today from Spain. I'm honored to introduce my buddy, Roberto Carratalá, who is, he's a principal AI architect here at Red Hat. He's been here with us at Red Hat for a long time in a couple of different positions, but now he focuses on the operations of AI, helping customers to adopt it, but also he's kind of like the go-to expert, the SME for everything AI. So we're really honored to have him on the show. Roberto, thanks for joining us. Feel free to introduce yourself, any fun facts and things that you've been up to recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And I've been working for Red Hat more than 10 years in different roles. Now I'm focusing more in the AI stuff, in the AI business unit. And it's actually pretty interesting. And we are focusing a lot on different agents, but also on the topic today that it's AgentOps. And the fun fact is I do have several agents as well running here in my local lab. I have a couple of OpenClose and also AMS doing my automation also from my own stuff. And from my home lab as well, using Home Assistant that is an open source. So I can control basically my home using also agents. And it's kind of cool, actually.
That's cool. So right now you have a couple bots probably doing the chores or something.
Exactly.
That's super cool. Well, Roberto, thanks so much for having us. I'll kind of introduce the topic that you're going to be learning about today if you're joining us. And feel free to let us know where you're joining us from. We have people from around the world, so it's really cool to see kind of the Red Hat community show up to these streams, or if you're watching afterwards, thanks for watching. So kind of what we want to introduce today is everyone knows what an AI agent is, right? You might be using Claude Code, or you might be using MCP servers with your IDE in order to pull in and fetch data and manage services. But the thing is, you might be doing that from a local environment, right? Your own machine. What happens when you want to scale that up to hundreds of machines, or to have a team use some type of agentic service, right? That touches customer data. Well, that's where it gets really tricky. And so what Roberto is going to walk us through today is one of these live demos that he's been working on, that he showed at the Red Hat Summit back in May in Atlanta, Georgia, where we're kind of going to see how do we identify an agent, how do we monitor what's happening to the agent, and then how do we operate it at scale. And of course, you're going to see a collection of Red Hat technologies here, including Kubernetes for managing applications. You're going to see some other projects that Red Hat has been working on in the AI space that I think are really interesting. And as you just saw on the screen here, if you're interested in this demo and many other demos, feel free to head to interact.redhat.com, where you can go to this page that we have showing live, and you can see all of these really cool interactive demos. For example, models as a service, right? Say you're running one model, but how do you serve that to thousands of people? Well, you can use models as a service, which is a way to scale this and provide API keys, authentication, governance, and much more, so that everyone can start using it in their AI applications. So there's a lot of really cool interactive demos on pretty much every open source technology and Red Hat product that you can think of. So if you're looking to see how a specific technology works, feel free to check that out. But enough with the plug. I'm really interested to see what, Roberto, you have for us today. I see that you're sharing the screen, so it looks good to go. Feel free to kind of give us some background on what's happening in this demo, and we'll kind of walk through it. And I'm excited to see what you got for us. Oh, and you might be muted just for a second.
All right. So the thing that we will see in the demo, it's the Enterprise AgentOps using a fictitious bank that it's willing to put some agents in production, but they are facing some challenges. And first, we want to introduce what's AgentOps and what's important about it. So AgentOps is a set of platforms, processes, and also controls that the different organizations need to move this AI agent from just prototypes to production. And it covers everything from grabbing your agent that you have in your laptop and going to production safely, and also having things like deployment, identity, security, and governance. And that's exactly the thing that we will see on that demo, because it's very important to have not only the agent deployed, because it's one piece of the puzzle, it's putting things in production safely. And for that reason, we are saying that navigate Enterprise AgentOps workflow demo. So the first thing that we want is to introduce, again, the concept around this. And we have the platform that we will revisit once we have all of the puzzles. But the thing that we have is we have these different agents that we are grabbing. And let me switch to this one that it's making a little bit better. And all right. So the thing that we do is that we have the Acme Bank. And this Acme Bank, it's using different things that we already see in production. So we have a chatbot, we have also a voice activation, and we have also different things that are running on the laptop. But the thing that we want is to put it in production. And that's the first step that we need to do. It's grab this and try to put from the development laptop to production in a way that we need to add security, identity, and all the things that we need. So if we go to this, we will see that we have the agent ready to go, but we need to add things that really enhance the whole production system. So we detected a couple of things from moving from the inner loop to the outer loop that, for example, we don't have security. So we don't have identity, no access control, no credential or shared credentials. Also, we don't have the lifecycle management or policy enforcement. And on the other hand, we are lacking of tracing, audit trail, or reasoning visibility. So what happened when things go south, or when we have one problem, for example? We don't know exactly, because in our laptop, everything runs in the same machine. But when we are scaling to production, we have this lack of visibility that we need, and also the scalability. So right. The first thing that we do is going and deploying using our bring our own agent, because one thing and our approach that we are dealing, it's you bring the agent and we make it production ready. For what reason? Because we have a lot of customers, and there are a lot of folks out there that they are using different variety of agentic frameworks. Some of them are off the shelf. Some of the most popular are OpenClaw, and also Hermes. But we have a bunch of customers that they are starting from building their own agents using LangGraph, CrewAI, Autogen, and so on and so forth. And that's exactly that we are trying to do with Red Hat AI. It's like you bring your own agent, no matter what it is, and we will make it production ready, having all of these lifecycle management, and also we will support things like A2A in order to have multi-agentic system around that.
It's interesting, Roberto. I'm thinking of like how, do you remember when OpenShift AI was called like OpenShift Data Science?
Exactly.
You know, and the big idea around that was that all these data scientists were all running experiments locally, and they had a model that was running like some prediction AI or some type of voice AI, and it would work on their laptop, and then they would try to bring it to the team, scale it up, and boom, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. And they said that was someone else's problem, right? But then, you know, what do you do when you have all of these kind of disconnected artifacts that people want to work in production, and you need some standardized place to run it? And I think that this kind of Red Hat UI kind of bring your own agent is the equivalent of what just happened 5-10 years ago with predictive AI, but now it's just generative AI. And instead of, you know, Python notebooks, it's OpenClaw, it's Hermes, it's Claude Code, it's all of these different types of use cases. So it's really interesting. Like, I think like kind of history repeats itself, and we're seeing it right now in generative AI.
Yeah, we are trying to solve the same problems that we have in the past, not only with predictive AI, also with microservices. Because one thing is having everything deployed in your laptop. Another thing is putting everything securely, and also having all of these observability layers, all of the different microservices, how you can connect the different microservices and talk with each other. So all of this, it's repeating, but we are adding new capabilities, like, for example, MCP, or the ability to talk with different tools, adding also the inference around AI as well. And but we need things like security and also observability. That's very, very important. And another cool feature, now that you mentioned, it's agent sandboxing, because we need to ensure that our agents do not do things like very dangerous, because the agents can do marvelous things. But an agent without control can, for example, delete a database in production, or can exfiltrate some data if we don't have the proper security. And we will see also other measures. But the first thing that we are doing is putting the agent in a box. So we are trying to sandboxing and also isolate different agents. And in this case, we are using a very cool feature and also technique that is using OpenShell, that it's closing this gap. And the good thing around OpenShell is that container isolation control what reaches the pod, but inside of the pod, everything has the same permissions. And with OpenShell, you are able to have this pod isolation, but also the zero trust by default. So you don't need to inject the credentials any longer. And also the agents will never see the secrets. So the credentials are injected at the network boundary, and the agent will never reach this. And you can also have the full control on the behavior and put several layers that are actually pretty good.
That's really important. I mean, did you see the Hugging Face incident last week?
Exactly,
right?
exactly. That's one thing that they tried to isolate it using a proxy, and the own agent did an investigation and found a day zero, and they escaped and attacked other place. So that's why it's so important to put these harnesses that are very, very powerful in some boxes, and try to isolate as well, putting all of these runtimes, but also putting boundaries in order to say, hey, you only need to do these 6 calls or reach these APIs, and that's all. If you are trying to reach other APIs because you think that it's the best way of doing it, I will not allow you having the full control on the things that the agent does.
Right. Yeah.
So another thing that is very important is because an LLM itself, it's not capable, for example, to do things that we need in order to, hey, I want to power my agent to search online, or to call an API, or to do certain things. So an LLM itself, it's not very powerful, because only relies on the things that it has been trained on. And with this, we had this protocol that is called MCP, that is Model Context Protocol, that essentially it's a way of giving a standardized way to call the different tools. That could be some simple, something as simple as you need to call an API or you need to search online. But we need to do it, and we need to provide to our agents a way of having something that centralize and manage the connectivity, because one thing that MCP does is they are not providing out-of-the-box things like authentication or authorization. So with the MCP gateway that Red Hat AI provides and also ships, you can aggregate all of the MCP servers behind a single endpoint, and then you can use authorization and authentication and say, hey, this team or this agent or this harness can access to this database in production, but all of the rest cannot. And in this way, you can also have and manage all of the access and securing the harness in order to only allow to access to certain things that we can also see in that demo as well.
It's cool that, you know, we're building stuff for humans, but we're also building stuff for the agents. Like,
exactly.
You know, they both have to be like top of mind for who's actually accessing these MCP servers, right?
Exactly.
Like, we're not just building for other developers now. We're building for agents. Like, it's kind of mind blowing.
Yep. And but without the inference, we cannot provide a brain. Because one of the most important parts for our agents is that we need to provide a certain amount of models that have different capabilities. Like, for example, I want some reasoning or some vision language models as well. So we are using models as a service in order to offer centrally served AI models through, and you can, for example, deploy your own models in order to share it across all of your agents, and you can also access to these models as a service. We have a bunch of different capabilities around authorization and authentication based on the IP key, and the principle is simple. It's like when you go to OpenAI or to other SaaS services, it's grabbing the model that you want, and also ask for an API key with some access to the different models and start working. So in this demo, we are doing the exact same thing. We are powering our agents with different models with different capabilities as well. So depending on the capabilities that we want to add to our agent, we are relying on one model and the other, and we can have full control. And the most important thing, we are sharing the resources among not only one specific model agent, we are sharing across the entire fleet with the full control and full capability.
It's awesome.
One thing that happens is that if you don't evaluate and if you don't have the tracing, you don't know exactly what's going on, because you would never ship code without test, right? And you would ship model without evaluating against your domain. And that's exactly what we are trying to do with EvalHub. With EvalHub, we are having different adapters, and each adapter has different functionalities as well. For example, we have RAGAs or Guide LLM for evaluating things like RAG or the performance of the LLMs among the different things that we have. And we will store everything in different things that we will also be able to check what's going on, and also we can ship with confidence. And the most important part is with one API, we will have also every evaluation and the different capabilities, benchmarks and safety probes. So that's actually pretty cool. It's new in the latest Red Hat AI versions, and we are pretty excited that we are shipping this. And talking around observability and tracing, the most important part to me when I'm dealing with not only deploying that in production, it's when things go south and when we face one problem, we need to identify what's going on. And the easiest way of doing it is adding MLflow and also OpenTelemetry tracing in order to understand every single reasoning step, tool calling, model response. You can see in here that we know exactly every single step and also every single tool calling or model calling. So we have the reasoning step and the tool calls captures in one thing that is called trace spans. So we can understand what's going on underneath in order to say, hey, I'm facing some issues with this, I don't know, MCP. So we can identify what's going on and see if there is any bottleneck or anything that is going wrong.
Nice. And you can automate that, I'm sure, right?
Exactly. So we can have an automated end-to-end using pipelines or using GitOps as well. And another thing that is super important is we need to provide safety and some guardrails, because we need to ensure that the agent never produce harmful, biased, or inappropriate responses. So we are seeing in here that we are saying that we don't like our robot, and we are providing an input that it's not appropriated. So the thing that we are doing is putting NEMO guardrails and Trust AI FMS in order to enforce the input and not giving the possibility to reach even the LLM, because we'll be stopped. And we are also saving tokens and protecting the different users of our chatbot, because if you put these chatbots and these agents into production and they are starting behaving, I don't know, being things that are biased or produce harmful or not very good responses, your credibility as well and the reputation of your enterprise could be affected. So that's very, very important to protect. And the last two that I'm really excited, it's the first, it's workload identity. So we want every agent to prove who is, and we don't want to inject shared and also long-lived credentials to the different agents. So the thing that we are trying to do is also give every single agent their own identity, and this will be rotated. And we are using standard protocols like Spear and Spiffet, that essentially it's providing every single agent with their own cryptographic workload identity. So if anyone just tries to hijack that, we will also be possible to having these short-lived credentials that will be rotated, and then this credential will be totally useless after 5 minutes because will be rotated. And then we are guaranteeing that these will be protected. And last but not least, that I really like, it's guardrails are reactive. So we are putting some boundaries in order to have this defense if anyone attacks us. But we need to automate also the red teaming. We need to automate to put, for example, before going to production, find the vulnerabilities before your possible attackers do. So with red teaming based on Garak, we are automating everything. And instead of going hand by hand or like every single system prompt, like we have thousands, we can automate the end-to-end red teaming in order to grab all of these and put it together and having a very nice report in order to see and understand what are the possible failures and try to also fix that before putting our agent in production. And awesome. Everything that you already saw, it's included in Red Hat AI. So we have different pieces that we are calling AgentOps, because AgentOps is not just putting your agent in production as is. We need to add things like inference, the different MCP guardrails, having tracing, having observability, identity, and so on and so forth. And that's something that Red Hat AI gives you out of the box. And it's very simple in order to grab your agent, no matter how it's built. For example, you can use, I don't know, CrewAI, LangChain, or whatever. And then adding all of these pieces that will make your life easier and will be making very easy to put and to grab your agent from development to production.
Woo! Man, that was great. That was great.
Thank you very much.
I feel like, we've had DevOps for what, since 2007, around there, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is that this is not very different than DevOps. That's the same principle. We are applying the DevOps principles also to the agents, and we are trying to put things that we already know, like adding security layers, adding observability, adding and also being instead of putting monoliths, also microservices. So everything that we learned in DevOps, we can also apply it into AgentOps. And in fact, I was also using DevOps in my day-to-day because of my previous roles. And now we are applying all of the learnings into these AgentOps as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I like how you start with isolating it, right? Same thing we've done for containers, and then you kind of add in all of those first-class capabilities of how does it get tool access, right? How do we observe what's happening, right? We're kind of rebuilding all these capabilities we've had for regular stateful apps, but now for these non-deterministic apps, right? And so it's cool because we've learned a lot of these lessons before. And so integrating it into something like OpenShift, it makes sense. It's all microservices at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, agents are microservices, but we need to also put some layers of security, identity, and things that we already fixed for the traditional app development. But right now, we are also having new things that we need to think about it, like the MCP, that is very new. Also, how we can evaluate our own agents instead of doing manually. That we did that, but the things change a little bit, and we need to also rethink on the approach that we want in order to evaluate not only the model, the end-to-end, and also the different pieces.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love it. Well, this has been a really, really cool demo. There's a lot of cool parts in here that if you're watching, can just navigate to that QR code again on the top left to check it out. And Roberto, as we kind of close out here, are there any resources that you'd like to point people to if they want to keep learning or if they're interested in what you just showed today?
Absolutely. The first thing that I want to say is that this is a demo that also you can see live, and we will post in the chat, and you can run through all of the steps. It's something that might happen and also Taylor Smith with myself built together, but the whole AI business unit also support. And we will also share this, but on the other hand, we have the AI quick stats and also other resources that you can use in order to leverage and learn more. So we will share all of these in the chat as we speak.
Yeah, thanks, Roberto. And yes, we have the wonderful Rohan Venkatram in the background, who's our lovely host for the show. And we want to give him a big thank you for making sure we've had all these AV and all the production and everything working great today. So big thanks to him. Big thanks to you, Roberto. We'll put those links in the chat there. I'm also sharing here in a second a AI quick start page that Roberto just mentioned, where you can kind of check out. Ooh, there we go. I'm sharing it. You can kind of check out all of these different kind of situations where I think one of this is the demo you showed, right?
Exactly.
Kind of guardrails, auditing, the mortgage.
Automate mortgage lending. This is the one that we already described, and that's exactly how you can also deploy the multi-agent system with all of the features that we already discussed. And it's actually pretty simple, just a Helm chart, and you will have everything that you need. And we have also in the AI quick stats a bunch of different very interesting demos and examples that you can leverage. And some of them are also coming from not only us, partners that are participating, and also most of them are based on some business case that we are trying to solve with technology, and are pretty cool.
Nice. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what we are trying to do.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. So that's the AI quick starts. And you can see that demo again, kind of how we just went through it on interact.redhat.com. But until then, we really appreciate you joining us for another episode of Demo Deep Dive. As always, we'll see you back again in 2 weeks on the next Tuesday back on the channel. So make sure you give the video a like if you enjoyed the content today. Make sure you subscribe to the Red Hat channel. And on behalf of me, Rohan, and our wonderful guest, Roberto, we want to say thank you so much and have a great rest of your week. Bye. Thank you.